Even when we have our big campers and it has a built-in propane system, seems like we still occasionally need these 1-pound canisters for things like grills and maybe a lantern. So we're still basically forced to carry these things, even though we have fancy 20 and 30-pound tanks in our RV. And these things are notorious for leaking, especially when they've been used once. So what I'd like to do is get these little brass covers that have a gasket on them. And you know, that prevents the thing from leaking. However, the issue still at hand is where do we store these things? This becomes another project. I 3D printed a storage container, and actually I contacted a manufacturer in the RV industry about 9 months ago or so and gave them the idea of building these things. Well, you know, they thought it was a good idea, but I never did hear back from them. And this is 3D printed, and it's going to fit in this compartment in the back. And we'll have to take the tank out to get it properly fitted. If you don't have access to a 3D printer, you can probably make one of these out of the techniques that I showed when I made my fiberglass speaker balls. Or if you have any type of sheet metal working experience, you could probably make one of these out of sheet metal. Back in my boating days, I have also seen sailboaters making containers like this using 4-inch diameter Schedule 40 PVC. So the same thing could certainly be done here if you don't have a 3D printer. But if you have a 3D printer, I will post the STL files on my website that you can download for free. And simply you take those STL files, put them into your favorite slicer, and then you can print the pattern without having to do any design work. I also made a cap, looks like this, which probably is optional. And I attached the cap by using one of these bungee cords with the little balls. And I had to modify one by taking one of the balls off and putting the ball on both ends. So I came up with this. And the way this works is you put the canister in here. And that'll help hold the canister so that it doesn't fall out. So the first step, of course, is to remove the propane tank, which I've done here. Of course, you'll want to double check to make sure you have enough clearance to get the tank back where it belongs. And when you screw in 3D parts, generally they have an infill, which means that they're not solid all the way through. Now I was able to mount this with an impact driver, but just be careful that you don't over torque it. And then once we have our 30-pounder back in, our portable tank will fit in perfectly. There you go. Visit rv-project.com.